Hey guys, how's it going? So what I'm basically going to be going over is combinations. First of all, I'm doing this on my laptop, and I don't even have a mouse. I'm using my little keypad thingy here, so it might not be as good of quality as I might want it to be, but I still wanted to make a video for you guys because I can't do the daily challenge for you. It's not that I can't beat it, it's that my computer keeps blowing up whenever I try, so it's not going very good. Anyways, let's go over the combos here. So I wanted to just get a couple things clear here, first of all. There's really not that many things that you have to beat in BTD5. There's like 5 main things that you have to beat in BTD5. And those 5 balloon types that I think are anything rainbows and under. And then there's ceramics, which are very similar to Moabs. Then there's regeneration balloons, and then there's camo balloons. Obviously, there's a couple other different type of balloons that you might have to deal with, for example, lead, black, or white. But the five different groups I'm going to group them in are anything rainbows under, ceramics, Moabs, regen, and camo. So what you want to do is you want to find a combination of towers that beat those 5 categories of balloons. And the best way to do that is using different varieties of towers mixed together with each other. You obviously don't want to just make all dartling guns or make all tack shooters or make all ice towers. You definitely wouldn't win. It doesn't make sense. And obviously you can't just make super monkeys to start off with. So that's just the kind of logic I'm going with right now. You need combinations of towers. Now what I'm going to be basically going over in this video is some good combinations in general, some bad combinations, and just a couple other random things that I wanted to talk about. So, the first thing you want to deal with is anything really rainbows and under. So good combinations for that is usually just cannon, ice, and glue all mixed together. Those are the guys you want to beat. Those are the guys you want to use for anything rainbows and under. Now you can include ceramics in this category because ceramics are very, very close to rainbows and under. I still like to consider them closer to Moabs because it does take like 10 hits to pop them, and Moabs take like 200 hits or so. I don't know exactly, but it takes quite a few hits to actually pop them. So, this is really the combination I'm going for, is anything under ceramics right now. And obviously you could use a lot of towers to pop anything like that, but what's a good combination of towers to use? Now, realistically, anything below 45 is what I'm talking about here. Once you get to level 46, you start getting into the Moab class balloons, and it's less about popping power, and it's more about Moab popping power. The thing about that is, if you're getting Moabs, you have to have another certain amount of popping power. So, this is kind of confusing to talk about, really, but before level 45, what you usually want to do is you usually want to get some sort of glue, you usually want to get some sort of cannon, and you usually want to get some sort of ice, and that'll pop everything, ceramics and under. Now, what is a combination that I like to use? Personally, I like to use an Arctic Wind 1, 2, and 3. I use this a lot. You guys have probably seen it from me. And then I also like to use a glue gunner. Now, this is variable. Some people say to use the 3-2 glue gunner, but personally, I like the 2-3 glue gunner. Just a little bit better. So I'm going to actually use that more. People like the other way a little bit better because they say it pops the stuff under the ice just a little bit easier. But also, if you have a bunch of cannons or Moab maulers on the front, popping the Moabs and all that, and you get a bunch of zebras coming by, this guy, if he's 3-2, will not glue all the zebras, and therefore your ice will not pop them all. So that's why I usually end up dealing with a 2-3, and then also an Arctic Wind. So the best combination to use is, I personally think, just this ice tower and this glue gunner. This is going to pop basically infinite ceramics, arguably infinite regeneration ceramics. This will not do good versus, obviously, camo balloons, so you're going to have to deal with that some other way. You might want to just get a monkey village and get camo, but even regen balloons this is going to beat. So pretty much anything ceramics and under this beats. If you need some extra boost, if you don't place your towers completely right, which if you don't place these guys exactly right, it actually will not pop infinite, but if you place them perfectly right, they will pop infinite balloons. and I cannot actually show you guys on my laptop very easily because it will lag like crazy. My laptop sucks. You could also combine this with some sort of cannon. Even just a regular 3-2 cannon is going to help so freaking much. It's unbelievable. If you want to get a 4-2, go right ahead. But this is just going to destroy the balloons. This combination right here. That's why I'm just taking this as a good combination all around. Now, obviously, you can't get this on level 10. You can't get this on level 45. Okay, I understand that. That's why this is mostly a late game combo. I can't really go over any really good early game combos because most of those are kind of obvious, surprisingly. Just going some sort of cannon, some sort of ice, some sort of wizards all together, things that pop, things that'll pop a lot of balloons in general. Now, what's next? Now you have to think about, well, if you can pop infinite balloons with these guys, okay, what else do you need to worry about? Well, you need to worry about the Moabs. So I kind of got just a couple towers in general that I think you should use as your Moab popping power. Super monkeys, first of all, which super monkeys have a lot of Moab popping power, especially if you have a plasma monkey, and a super duper especially if you have a 2-3 roboplasma monkey. And you might say, well, that guy's good versus everything. True, he is pretty good versus everything, but he's definitely better versus Moabs than he is versus just the regular balloons. And the reason I'm going to argue that is because there's really not that much that can actually pop the Moabs very easily. Think about it. I mean, you got dart monkeys that you got to mask quite a few of those to pop Moabs. Even snipers, you have to have a lot of money or really high level snipers to actually pop the Moab. Boomerangs, they suck. Ninjas still cost a lot of money for these guys. Monkey Buccaneers, maybe you could argue that that's good versus Moabs, but most of these guys, they're just not good versus regular Moabs, unless you're spending a ton of money. A ton of money. So that's why I'm just going to still put just the regular super monkeys, especially plasmas, in the Moab popping power category instead of regular popping power. The next thing you have to think about is Moab Maulers, which are 2-3 cannons. And these guys, if you mask a couple of these guys, they can pop Moabs very easily. If you get, I believe it's 5 Moab Maulers, so 0-3 Moab Maulers are pretty good, but 2-3 Moab Maulers are even better. So 2-3 Moab Maulers are one of the best combos for just destroying the Moabs. And if you combine that with some sort of combination of popping power, you have infinite popping power in general. So that's going to help you for most levels like 46, 50, blah, 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 blah. A couple Moab Maulers and all that. You could also use some sort of combination of Dartling guns. So, you have Dartling guns and tack shooters as well. Those are both very good versus Moabs. And this is more of a daily challenge kind of thing instead of just a regular gameplay kind of thing on why you would use tack shooters or Dartling guns for your Moab for your Moab popping power. Some people like to use Dartlings for the Moab popping power, but not in general. I think they're a little bit too expensive sometimes. Sometimes you're better off just getting a plasma or a roboplasma. Just try and save up for that, and that'll be your most Moab popping power. I really often put my super monkeys on strong, and that actually tends to help pop the Moabs, which then I can use these towers in general to pop the regular balloons. There's obviously a lot of towers that you can use to actually just pop the balloons, and there's also a lot of towers that you can use to pop Moabs. But I'm just talking about the best combinations in general. So that's really like the main gameplay of combinations. What do you want to do for combinations? You want to get a certain amount of Moab popping power, you want to get a certain amount of popping power, and then you also have to think about something like camo just a little bit. Now obviously these three guys are really good versus balloons, but versus camo, what are you going to do? Even super monkeys can't see camo, so what you have to do is get a monkey village or something like that. Regen balloons. Now this is an interesting topic because if you have a bunch of towers like Moab Maulers up here, and then you pop a bunch of regen balloons and then they multiply, and you get a multiplying amount of regen balloons when they come around here, you can actually still stop them. That's the good thing about this. If you get these three towers right here, you can still stop them. So that's why I'm just going to mention that as in best ways to have regular popping power. The next thing I wanted to talk about is something like a spike factory. And now a spike factory, you might think, well, spike factory is pretty good overall versus just about everything. Well, yeah, sure, I guess so. But what kind of combinations could you use with the spike factory? Now this is an interesting topic because most people don't really think about this. The best thing to use with the spike factory is any tower with a lot of popping power, even if it's inaccurate popping power. And I wanted to mention that because some people think some people don't really know how to use spike factories to the best of their advantage. The spike factory really doesn't care how much accuracy all your towers have before it. If you have sufficient spike factory, all you need is a certain amount of balloons to pop before it gets down to that spike factory, if that makes sense. Now, the next thing to mention is, so yeah, like, what should you use with the spike factory? Well, for example, what's kind of inaccurate but has a lot of popping power? Well, boats, for example, are pretty inaccurate but have a lot of popping power. A lightning monkey, kind of inaccurate, has a lot of popping power. Boomerangs, tack shooters, those are kind of inaccurate. Ninjas, not really. Snipers, not really at all. But yeah, I mean, my best bet would just be to say boomerangs and tack shooters as your main popping power versus with the use of a tack factory. And then the last thing I really wanted to talk about is high popping power combo plus accuracy. So now to explain that a little bit better, especially in an early game, what you need to do is just have your towers just barely beat the levels so you can farm as fast as possible. So the best thing to do is have a tower with a high popping power, for example, a tack shooter, or a boomerang, or a cluster bombs, or something like that, with something that has a good amount of accuracy, such as a dart monkey or a ninja. Now, some people say ninjas, they have a ton of popping power anyways. I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say no. That's not true. Because ninjas cost a lot of money to get high popping power. You're talking like $1,000 plus to get a reasonable amount of popping power. Really not worth it. They're pretty accurate. That's why they seem like they have a lot of popping power. But it's mostly their accuracy that they're good at. And so if you have something like boomerangs, like a glaive thrower, or a cluster bomb or something like that, with a ninja in the back, that's a good combination. And then you also have to think about something like if you're going to add a spike factory to that mix. Now, if you have the spike factory in there, you don't need the accurate popping power. But usually spike factories are kind of expensive. So usually what you want to do to start off is get some sort of random popping power that's going to have like a lot of pops, like a boomerang. Now you could even go for a multi-popping boomerang, so just a 1-0 boomerang or something like that, and you're going to get a lot of popping power out of those guys. You're not going to get their max popping power probably because they're so inaccurate, unless you can place it perfectly. But yeah, that's just one thing to think about, is high popping power plus your accuracy. That's really all I got for the combinations. Obviously, I can't go over every single combination of tower in the game, but I think I went over some of the main points that I really wanted to go over. Oh yeah, also, when you're dealing with these guys right over here, these three right here, you could also add a mortar into the mix, and a mortar does help quite a bit. Not as much as I'd say a 3-0 cannon or 3-2 cannon, but a mortar can help definitely. So that's just something else to think about. Combinations of monkey villages. So obviously a monkey village is, you need, as soon as you pay $16,000, you actually get your money back from the monkey village, not including the upgrades that you already had. But another thing about the monkey village is, realistically, if you pay $1,200, what is it? If you pay $4,000 on your monkey village and then you sell the monkey village, you made your money back. So if anything over $4,000, realistically for the monkey village, you'll actually be making money. That's one thing to think about for combinations. If you really need to like get a certain amount of money and think about saving it for the monkey village, that's one thing to think about. Yeah, and like I said, there's obviously a bunch of combinations you could use. But I can't go over every single one, and obviously if I did that, it would take me 3 hours to explain, if not longer. So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I know my explanations were a little bit weird and odd and stuff like that, but I hope you guys at least liked them a little bit and understood them a little bit. So thank you for watching, and have a really nice day.